As the Israel-Hamas war drags into its sixth day, the total death toll has risen to 2,400. Palestinian Health Ministry says 1,200 people have been killed in Gaza in Israeli strikes. Israel endured a massive multi-pronged surprise attack from Hamas on Saturday, triggering another war. Over 1,200 people have been killed so far in Israel. In the latest, the White House has reportedly backtracked from comments made by President Joe Biden about pictures of decapitated children. U.S. President Biden said he had seen pictures of beheaded children among the casualties in Israel. But a White House official has now reportedly clarified that Biden did not see any such pictures. Meanwhile, the Israeli Prime Minister vowed to wipe Hamas off the face of the earth shortly after forming an emergency unity government. Addressing the newly formed war cabinet, Benjamin Netanyahu declared, and I am quoting here, "Every Hamas member is a dead man." Netanyahu has temporarily settled his political differences by including centrist former Defense Minister Benny Gantz in the new government formed for the duration of the crisis. Israel has amassed thousands of troops, tanks and other heavy armor around Gaza as it executes a total siege of the Strip before launching a ground offensive. The threat of a multi-front war is also looming large as Israel came under fresh attacks on its northern borders from militant groups in neighboring Lebanon and Syria. Supplies ran low in the Gaza Strip, where power went out last evening after the only power station in the territory ran out of fuel. With this, all medical facilities risk going out of operation within days, triggering a greater humanitarian crisis. The United Nations says 11 of its volunteers have been killed in the Israeli air raids in Gaza. Other international aid groups have also reported volunteer fatalities in Gaza. The aid groups have demanded a humanitarian corridor into the blockaded Strip. On the other hand, the U.S. President Joe Biden made his first call for restraint over Israel's response to Hamas attacks. He has urged Israel to abide by the rules of war, even as more arms and ammunition supplies from Washington arrived in Israel. The United States confirmed at least 22 American citizens have been killed in Israel as U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken left to visit the battling U.S. ally. But the United States, it's still not been able to ascertain the number of Americans taken hostage by the Hamas group. Fears mounted in Israel over the fate of at least 150 hostages held in Gaza by Hamas. The militant groups claim to have released 3 hostages, including 2 children and a woman. But awaiting official confirmation, Israeli media has denied the claim, saying that the 3 were never taken hostage in the first place. The militant group has claimed that the 4 captives died in Israeli strikes. Earlier, they threatened to kill other hostages if civilian targets were bombed without advance warning from Israel. Now, for more on this, we earlier spoke to Ramzi Baroud, who is a journalist and the editor of the Palestine Chronicle. Let's listen into his insights.
I have family there. I have a sister and her kids, and I have cousins, uncles, and aunts. And of course, I run a news company, so I have various correspondents working in various parts of the Gaza Strip. So we get around-the-clock updates of the situation there. And the only way it can be described is absolutely horrific, if not unprecedented, in the history of conflicts between Palestine and Israel. The infrastructure has already been completely destroyed. 338,000 people have been made homeless. If you do the math, that's about 12% of the overall population of Gaza. If this trend continues as it is, it could be the matter of time before all of the Gaza population will be pushed out of their homes. The United Nations also very recently, about an hour or so ago, they said the situation is extremely difficult, and they called for an urgent humanitarian truce. Israel made it very clear that there will be no truce, and they threatened even Egypt, which is an ally, at least the Egyptian government is an ally of Israel, and they said if any caravans of food or supplies will try to arrive to Gaza through the Sinai Desert, they will be shot. So we have an extremely tense situation, but more urgent than the war itself is that you have 2.3 million people with no running water, with no electricity, with no food, and hospitals ran out of medications, ran out of emergency supplies. So we are dealing with really a situation that we don't even know how to mentally process, let alone know how to deal with in practical ways.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.